Hi and welcome to Trending. My name's Richard Willett.
And my name's Gareth Ike. Today's show is sponsored by Red Life Devices, Red Light Therapy. For healing on a cellular level, head over to redlifedevices.com and use the code ICONIC for 10% off. Rich, kick us off.
Well, today we're going to start. It's going to be a bit Trump heavy, unfortunately, today.
Okay.
Bit Trumpington heavy. Why did Mark Zuckerberg end Facebook's and Instagram's fact-checking program? So they've got rid of you remember the fact-checkers come out, they were all there, all the Karens are unemployed. So if you see some Karens at the job centre, that's why. Why has he ended it? But what a lot of people are ignoring is the fact that Trump got elected because of Facebook originally. And because
explain how that was.
Because it was Cambridge Analytica, Robert Mercer and the Mercers, Rebecca Mercer, who's also involved right now with Tucker Carlson in some way, the company that funds Tucker Carlson's network. She's involved with the company that does that. So the Mercers are still around, the Trump lot. But it was Cambridge Analytica and Robert Mercer and those guys that were really kind of stealing, basically, a lot of people's information. So there's an image here. So it's up to 87 million Facebook users. They trolled them and basically trolled through all their data information and saw what they would likely, social engineering. And they put that to Cambridge Analytica and that went to the Trump campaign. So they could basically create a system, cybernetics, which is the study of systems, of what they wanted and what would get certain things out of them.
So how to target certain people, basically?
Basically, yeah, it's entrainment. So that got Trump elected the first time. Obviously, this time, he switched over and used Musk and X. So he's used one from the other. But what we're seeing now, which is really interesting, is that it seems to be another switch back.
Yeah.
And I just found that interesting. What do you think?
Well, I think the fact that Zuckerberg went and met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago very soon after he was elected isn't an accident. I know a lot of people on social media kind of framed it as he was going with his tail between his legs because he was going to get arrested or whatever. And they said that about Hillary and everyone else when Trump came in 2016. Never going to happen. And I thought at the time, there's obviously more to this. Now, we don't get very many victories, let's have it right, in our realm. So I think we should take the W's when we get them. Now, if it means that the fact checkers don't jump on conversations about, gender ideology and things like that, and a lot of people that would post, say, about transitional regret, and then they would have, those posts massively algorithmically attacked, and just basically just bloody swarmed by fact checkers. That's a good thing, obviously, because that's part of this new policy apparently from Facebook, that actually you're going to be able to have conversations about stuff without being jumped on. That's a good thing, but there's always a sales pitch, isn't there? There's always something to get your foot in the door. And it's like, okay, so what's the real reason why Facebook is doing that?
It's really interesting, isn't it? They're going to see how many people jump ship. Because you had it the other way around. Because I remember before X, Twitter, still people call it Twitter and tweeting. I still call
it Twitter.
It didn't work, did it? You can't X yourself. It's just silly at night. You can, but I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
If you go back so they're going back to Facebook now. People will do it. They'll just see if it works. And I think it's another experiment, social engineering experiment, to see who jumps ship back to that one. And they're just switching sides. But a lot of people forget that it was Facebook and Cambridge Analytica that got Trump in there in the first place. So they go, oh, well, he's against, Musk's against Zuckerberg, and they're going to have a fight, which would have been funny. But they forget. It's all pretend enemies. Get that trending.
I think the fact is, people don't want to acknowledge the fact that Cambridge Analytica, through Facebook, had a role in getting Trump elected in 2016, because that doesn't fit with the narrative, with him being an outsider, with him coming in to fight the deep state against all the odds. That won't work. So there's a bit of cognitive dissonance, definitely, with Trump, for sure.
A huge amount, and that's just one level of it. But also there's baiting and switching between the two. So the people that go, oh, we hate Musk, and we love Musk and we hate Trump. And we love Musk, we love Trump, we hate Zuckerberg, are suddenly going to go, oh, I'm going to go over to his. How are you going to square that in your mind if you're suddenly going over to his platform again? Because it's free speech there and not so much on. So they're having this cognitive battle in their mind that they're having to drop things that they believe were true only a few days ago. That causes chaos in the mind.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, what it means in terms of Instagram and Facebook and what you can and can't say. On a similar sort of vein, I'm going to talk about Elon Musk again. I know we spoke about Elon Musk for the last couple of days, but it is very relevant to what's going on now. Now, what I'll do before we talk about Elon Musk, because what I'm going to try and bring across is the fact that I feel that Musk is playing into the hands a little bit of something called the Online Harms Bill. Now, if I take you all the way back, there's an organization in the United Kingdom, although it is in the United States as well, called the Centre for Countering Digital Hate. Now, the Centre for Countering Digital Hate were basically founded into being by a guy called Morgan McSweeney. Now, Morgan McSweeney is Keir Starmer's chief of staff. He is his right-hand man. He is, according to the UK media, the power behind Starmer, right? Okay, so he's a big player. The CEO of the Centre for Countering Digital Hate is a guy called Imran Ahmed. Now, he is a former Labour spin doctor. He worked for Angela Eagle when she was attempting to become leader of the Labour Party up against Jeremy Corbyn all those years ago, right? So they're a Labour organisation, the Centre for Countering Digital Hate. Now, they've been pushing very much for something called the Online Harms Bill. This is basically along the lines of what's come in New Zealand and other places where it's like, online is dangerous, so we need to censor loads of stuff. Okay, it just happens to be the stuff we want to censor is the stuff that's calling out the narrative,
Yeah, not save the kids.
No, not at all. So basically what they did, which was a little ploy, they wanted to make it look like it was a cross-party, bill, basically. So they got a guy called Damien Collins, who's a Tory politician. He's been voted out now, but he was a Tory politician at the time, an MP. They got him to front it. Okay, so you could say, oh no, it's coming from the Conservatives, but actually all of the background and all of the supporting organisations for this Online Harms Bill were Labour. Okay, then you had obviously all the spat between Labour and President Trump, with Labour, getting involved with the Kamala Harris campaign, all that sort of stuff. So there's a little bit boiling away. Now, if we go all the way back a couple of years, or about 18 months, sorry, Musk was suing the Centre for Countering Digital Hate. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember, yeah.
There was a big song and dance made of it, but actually nothing happened. So it was basically the suing took place in the headlines of the newspapers. It didn't actually really take place in reality. And in March of last year, the judge threw the whole thing out. So it doesn't exist, this lawsuit. And I thought at the time, something about this. There's something about it that I don't trust and that I don't like. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna put it on the back burner in my mind and just sort of see where it goes. Now, with what's happening at the moment in terms of the exposure of the grooming gangs and all that kind of stuff, Elon Musk is really going heavy on it on social media. Again, that's a win in the sense that people are talking about it. But, a lot of us have been talking about it for years.
Yeah, so they're reframing it.
They're reframing it. Now, what my problem with it is that I need to now basically suddenly believe that someone like Elon Musk and someone like all these Tory politicians that are now out speaking about it suddenly care about the victims of Pakistani grooming gangs in the United Kingdom. Bearing in mind, those Conservative politicians were in power for the last 14 years and did absolutely nothing.
Yep.
So why... I'm not comfortable believing that, because I don't believe that you would be in power for 14 years, do nothing, then suddenly care about it because Elon Musk cares about it. I also don't believe that Elon Musk gives too much of a toss about the victims either. There's a bigger thing at play because it's a theatre, and there always is a bigger thing at play. Now, we're led to believe that Elon Musk is a clever guy. In fact, he's a genius. He runs all these companies, tweets all the time, manages to be in Israel whenever he's told to be, and engineers for 80% of the time as well. So...
And then he plays computer games. He's one of the leading... I don't know what computer game it is, but he's meant to be the world's leading...
Whatever, in that game. Yeah, he must have one of those, watches that Hermione had in Harry Potter where she can pause time and go and do stuff. It's nonsense. That's the sort
of thing Musk would do, though.
Yeah.
If he had that power, you'd go, that's what he'd use it for.
Well, he's clearly not doing any of those things. He's not. He's a front man. So I was looking at his tweets, his posts over the last couple of days, and he was posting obvious nonsense, obvious misinformation, right? One of which being, the biggest of which being, I believe, which was a post saying, these are the UK MPs that voted against deporting foreign rapists, right? And he names them, he puts a little circle around the ones. Everyone's in uproar about that, obviously. That's outrageous. Why would you vote against deporting foreign rapists? Very good question. But that's not what the vote was. That vote was actually about deporting descendants of the Windrush generation. Now, the Windrush generation, for people around the world, was a generation of people that came over from the Caribbean in the 1960s and 70s and were allowed to have asylum here legally. Now, their descendants, the question was, are they allowed to be here? So, some people wanted them deported. I don't believe they should have been deported personally, and a lot of people didn't. That's what the vote was. So Elon Musk gets torn apart in the community notes on his own platform. Then, all over the mainstream media in the UK, Channel 4 particularly, had a big debate about what is the UK government going to do about Elon Musk and X. And this obvious misinformation, it's endangering MPs. He's saying they did things they didn't. What are we going to do about it? And I looked at it last night and I thought, I've got an online harms bill here. I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah.
Like Blue Peter, here's one I made earlier. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I think Musk, because I don't trust Musk. I think he's playing into this, and I think he's doing it on purpose. I think he's just playing his character. Now, I know I'm rambling, but just to put some context into the fact that this does happen, I will use Israel and Hamas as an example, right? You need to create someone that will cause a problem that you can offer the solution to. Now, in this case, Musk is causing a disinformation problem. He's endangering MPs, apparently. Therefore, you need a solution. The solution is we've got an online harms bill. Now, what that online harms bill is about is shh to everyone else. It's shutting people up, basically shutting down debate. It's stopping things being exposed online. It's against freedom of speech, but you've got the excuse. Now, the reason I mention Israel and Hamas is because whilst Hamas is the enemy of Israel, bearing in mind Musk is the enemy of Labour, in the theatre of dreams, Israel funded and promoted into being Hamas in the 1980s as a way of basically splitting the Palestinian people and taking down the power of the PLO, which is the Palestinian Liberation Organization that was fronted by Yasser Arafat, which was starting to grow some power, right? So they funded Hamas into being in the 80s. Now, they were still openly funding Hamas in 2019. Okay. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu said in 2019 at a Likud party conference to continue basically to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state, we need to keep funding and supporting Hamas, right?
Well, yeah, it's openly known.
It's open. So you think to yourself, okay, this is a proscribed terrorist organization that wants to kill all Jews. Apparently it says that in their manifesto. Why would you support them? Why would you fund them? Unless you're getting something out of it. Now, what Israel was getting out of it was every now and then, Hamas from nowhere would chuck a load of rockets into Israel. Israel would go right, and they would respond. Obviously, then with October 7th, they do what they do on October 7th. Israel go, right, we need to respond. And they get to take more land and expand their settlements and all that kind of stuff. So Hamas provides the excuse to do that. I get a feeling at the minute that what's going on with Musk, whilst it's good to expose the grooming gangs, it's actually playing into the hands of the online harms bill and censorship.
Absolutely, and that's one level of it. It definitely will, and they hit us on different levels. So another level of it is obviously playing the Christian off against the Muslims, which is quite clearly
100%.
a huge part of where they want it. Now, there's part of this. The information that I look into is the kind of like the esoteric, almost biblical, messianic versions of this. So there's the Leviathan versus the Behemoth story in the biblical text, and it's a mutually destructive war. Now, so you've got the Leviathan would be, say, Christians, Behemoth would be the Muslims, and they're supposedly to mutually destroy each other. People don't understand that this is part of their messianic playing out, their theatre. That's exactly what they've got. It's a theatre play. And there's another character called Ziz, which is like a hawk, eagle type thing that just sits there and watches it, stirs the pot. And once they've both destroyed each other, swoops in, picks at the dead corpse. I wonder what nation that might be.
Yeah. I mean, even above the nations, if you just
it's
go
above the nations.
Above the nations, you go, what is the best way to control the population? Have them fight each other.
Yeah, and against, it's not the Israeli people, obviously. This is a messianic sect that all of these guys are actually completely attached to, that I bang on about all the time. But when you look at these stories, they have multiple layers. So then Musk he's obviously got a lot of flack back for being supportive of the immigration bill that went through in terms of bringing in people that aren't as qualified into the US to do jobs. That caused him a lot of problems a couple of weeks back. Obviously, there's more specifics to that, and backing's Trump's backing of that. So he had to wind it back in. And what's the best way to do it? Go, the Muslim, Pakistani Muslim gangs. I'll jump on that bandwagon. That'll make me look good. And against, you know what I mean? So I'm someone who was around at the time working with Maggie Oliver and filming with her. And
who's Maggie Oliver?
Maggie Oliver is a police lady, police detective. I don't know what her rank was, but at the time of these grooming gangs, she was one of the people, probably the only person that was really exposing these things. Fantastic lady, and I did a lot of filming with her at the time when she set up her foundation. She was doing the work. Musk didn't say a peep back then about this stuff, but suddenly he's weaponized it. And then when you see the mentality of these people, he will try and frame himself as a good, decent guy to you guys by using this situation for his own benefit. That's the mentality of these people, the true mentality of these people. You know, he wasn't helping out, was this 7-8 years ago when this was really about, but now it suits him because he's stepped over the line and lost a lot of his followers. So he's using it as a political weapon. And that is, to me, is disgusting. This is the mentality of these people. They will use things like that, Pakistani grooming gangs, which is horrific and obviously true, for their own political benefit, to make themselves look good. Yeah. And that there's a certain psychology there that people don't understand in what they do, but like not on the wide view of why. Because when you relate back to what I said before, because they want the Muslims and the Christians, so obviously in the UK, to clash and mutually destroy each other. That's the point on the longer play of the game, because it helps the Greater Israel Project. And we all know that he's clapping and applauding Netanyahu in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So
also, if you want to manufacture consent for Middle East wars and the invasion of the Middle East or whatever, vilifying all Muslims as opposed to just a number of Pakistani grooming gangs is obviously a positive thing to do because you're going to manufacture that consent. But like I said, we need to take wins when we can get them. The fact that it is out there in the discourse and people are now talking about these gangs, that people are calling out Labour for voting against an inquiry into it is a good thing. But I don't trust Elon Musk and I don't trust his intentions for it at all.
No, I mean, a hammer is a good thing if you're going to build a house, but it's not if you're going to go mad with it on a Saturday afternoon. So these guys can actually use whatever. And I think that's a really important thing to put across as well, is that whatever situation is put in front of you, they can use it for their own. They can weaponize it.
Yeah. And
Musk is clearly weaponizing this situation.
Okay. So what's your next one then?
More Trump.
More Trump. Here we
Bit
go.
more Trump there for you.
I'll drink some coffee.
You drink some coffee, and I've got a cup of tea there. Bit more Trump. So obviously he's come out now. He's about 2 weeks till he's ushered into the loony bin again.
Yep.
And he's come out and said basically if the Hamas don't release the hostages, Hamas that was funded by his mate Netanyahu, by the way, so don't release the hostages, then all hell will break loose in the Middle East.
If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. Can you elaborate? And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is.
I mean, so my point is, what sort of psychology is it acceptable to have to be president of the United States if you're saying that sort of thing? After seeing, you just seeing it all day and every day, guys, scrolling and seeing poor children and women and men with limbs missing and thousands of kids dying in the Middle East. But he's able to go on TV and say something as gaslighting as that, derogatory as that. That's not acceptable in my opinion. And it's definitely not acceptable to someone you're going to go and give supposed power to.
Well, I mean, like you said, scrolling through, seeing what's going on in the Middle East, and not just Gaza, but Syria as well. And you think, all hell's going to break loose. I think it already has, hasn't it?
But that's it.
I think it's been hell for about 18 months.
Well, again, I'll go on about the esoteric understanding of what he was saying, because he's playing the role of Apollyon or Abaddon, same character. Shiva, same character, the destroyer, that comes out in Revelations 9:11. By the way, I'm not religious in any way, shape or form. I study this stuff to understand what the story is.
But these people are religious, that's the point.
These people are, yeah, but not in the terms that you think. They're messianic. So Revelations 9:11, Abaddon or Apollyon or Apollo, same character, Shiva, the destroyer, comes out the bottomless pit. And that's what he was saying. So all hell will break loose means, it's a nod and a wink to this messianic cult that here we go. 9/11 obviously is signal of Saturn. We've got all sorts of twin towers outside all of these bits and Solomon's Temple and all of that. These guys believe in all that stuff. So when they drop words in there, they're not doing it for no reason. So all hell will break loose. I think it's a nod and a wink to playing that character role.
Maybe, and it may be a nod and a wink towards, World War III. Trump is very anti-Iran. He's not hidden that fact. Canada's about to get a new prime minister who thinks it's a gift to humanity to bomb Iran. So it's going to be a spicy year. Another reason why it's going to be a spicy year, we've got pandemics again, Richard.
I thought you were going to go with curry, like we've got a...
I wish it was a curry. Right, so this is my final story today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, to be honest, we've seen a fair bit of this in the last I'm going to say the last few months, but actually, even since COVID, we had monkeypox straight away, didn't we? And then
you didn't.
We didn't, no. But then there was lots of, there's another strain, there's another this, there's another that. Then there was the bird flu, this is coming out of here and blah, blah, blah. And most people are kind of looking at it and thinking, what a load of nonsense. But this is a headline from Channel 4 News. This is what they tweeted. This says, people are worrying we're going to see another COVID-like global pandemic. Human metapneumovirus, or HMPV, is rapidly spreading throughout northern China. Why is it always China?
Northern China, yes.
Northern China. What is it, and how worried should we be? Well, not particularly. The fact is, for me at least, people will look at this and go, oh, they're just throwing another one. It's just another newspaper headline to sell papers. It'll be fish and chip paper tomorrow morning or whatever. Now, there is an element of truth to that. Most people would see that and go, oh, next, carry on with their lives, right? But what it's doing is it's normalizing it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's subconsciously, it's just planting it. Now, I'm old enough and ugly enough to remember when pandemics didn't actually exist. You might hear about do you remember the Spanish flu? Well, no, because I'm not 100. But they would be every 100 years, 200 years, and then you'd have, you'd learn in school about the Black Death, the bubonic plague and whatever, But we're talking hundreds and hundreds of years. And then all of a sudden, you had SARS, then you had SARS-CoV-2, then you had bird flu, and you had swine flu, and you had all these things that are just propping up left, right, and centre.
One of my favourites was mad cow disease. I thought, cows are scary enough. But I thought, last thing, because we live in Norfolk, is like 15,000 mad cows around the place. I thought that's going to be horrific. So that scared me.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I got chased by cows recently, didn't I? So I can concur with that. But exactly, yeah, CJD, mad cow disease, that was a thing as well. Foot and mouth disease, all these things obviously destroyed farming for a start in this country and whatever. But for me, it's normalizing it. And it's the same psychology, I think, is what they use when it comes to climate change. Like when they started renaming storms. It's a bit windy out today, isn't it? Suddenly became, that's Storm Jeffrey. And we laugh about it because it's ridiculous, but actually subconsciously it's planting these little seeds in our heads that actually something is, oh my goodness me, they're naming storms now. Things are getting worse, aren't they? The climate's changing. We're gonna die. And I think that's the same with what they're doing here, pushing this. This will disappear, this almost certainly, right? Because I don't think they'd be bold enough to do another one out of China. I think they need to mix it up a little bit. But what it's done is it's another subconscious notch in the head.
I think there's an element of this as well, an element of Chinese people over here, masks on, diseases. There's this connection there they're going to do. So you're going to have that element there of being scared of, communist China and all of this stuff. So there is that element there of you're attaching bubonic plagues and diseases and, chemical weapons to the Chinese. That there is that.
Yes, it's interesting actually because it's true actually the psychological side of seeing someone in masks. I see people in masks still now every now and then, and I'll see someone in a car and just go, oh for goodness sake, and then get on with my day. But psychologically, yeah, if there is an element of fear there, then you see someone. There's an othering of people as well, isn't there? Because they're different to us. Look at them masked up. They've come from a place where disease comes. Again, it's more separation.
Absolutely. I saw someone masked on yesterday on the train, young girl, and it's just like you feel sad for them.
I feel sad for them, yeah. I felt angry at times because I felt during COVID they were keeping the illusion going, but actually now when I see people, I do have sympathy for them because you've had a psychological job done on you.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I mean, but there's hidden symptoms for this one, Gareth. So by hidden symptoms, that means you can't perceive them.
Asymptomatic.
Asymptomatic. It's almost like they don't exist. So what they're doing is they're blurring the lines of what you understand to be reality again, like the MSNBC logo is the inversion of the light spectrum. They are telling you that something that doesn't exist does exist. It's just hidden.
Yeah.
Like the Torah has 600,000 words in it, letters in it. Doesn't. There's 308,500, something like that. But there's hidden letters, in it, in the white bits. You can't see those hidden letters, but they're there.
But trust me, bro.
Yeah, trust me, bro. So this is the same thing. So what do you think the hidden things are? I know you can see it on my computer.
Well, yeah, but I can see it, so I'm cheating, ladies and gentlemen. But I imagine the symptoms. I would imagine, had I not just seen them, that the symptoms would be very similar to everything else.
Absolutely. So they're hidden within everything that everybody gets. Do you see how they do it?
Yeah,
so it is kind of psychologically quite clever. So everybody has this. So it's the hidden in the open. It's the Freemasonic symbols everywhere. It's the symbology everywhere. It's the Roman architecture of everywhere. It's Rome, Washington D.C. used to be Rome, Maryland. It's this kind of thing. It's hidden in plain sight. So if you've got these symptoms are hidden in plain sight because everybody has these symptoms. High temperature.
Okay, I'm a bit hot.
Yep. A cough.
Yeah, okay. I can understand it's cough. It's winter.
That wasn't me swearing, by the way.
I was going to say.
Yep. Runny nose.
Again, it's winter. Very, very common things to have around this time of year. So you then just attach it to a deadly virus that's come out of China. It's clever.
It's hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, it's almost like they've done that before.
It's amazing, isn't it? So
Absolutely.
that's really clever. I mean, part of this show is to show you how they do these things. They literally just take something that everybody has and then attach it to something else.
Yeah,
hidden in plain sight.
Reframe it.
Absolutely reframe it. Push the Overton window along. The Overton window, by the way, is basically what the human nature or human being society will accept as normal, the new normal. So the new normal here with the high temperature, a cough and runny nose could be this new deadly virus from northern China.
Be afraid, ladies and gentlemen. Be very afraid. Today's show was brought to you by APE Nutrition, bringing British organic specialist food products to the supplement market. Head over to apenutrition.co.uk and use the code ICONICMedia for 10% off the whole range. And we'll see you tomorrow.